cool day. Got me a pretty rare Shelby and a really rare Lamborghini, albeit pretty ugly. The black on black Shelby, I think I got a buyer for that. Dennis is always buying Shelbys right now for some reason. Frankly, I'm a little scared of them, but with the package deal.
He was loud, fast, and unstoppable. Richard Rawlings, the face of Fast and Loud, built a TV empire out of gasoline, grit, and pure Texas attitude. His custom cars sold for six figures. His swagger made him a household name, and his gas monkey garage became a cultural phenomenon. But somewhere along the way, everything changed. The show disappeared. His crew went their separate ways. Fans started asking, what really happened to Richard Rawlings? Was it burnout? Was it business gone bad? Or something darker behind the scenes? Because behind the roaring engines and reality TV fame, Rawlings' life took some shocking turns, from massive financial risk to the loss of his biggest passion. This is the real story of the man who built an empire from nothing, and what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. From Greece to glory. Before the fame, before Fast and Loud, Richard Rawlings was just a Texas kid obsessed with cars. Born in Fort Worth in 1969, he grew up spending weekends in his dad's garage, learning the smell of oil, the feel of metal, and the thrill of horsepower before he could even drive. He didn't just want to fix cars, he wanted to live them. By his teens, he was already buying, flipping, and selling cars for profit. While other kids dreamed about prom, Richard was hustling deals in parking lots, taking apart engines, and planning his next move. After high school, he worked a string of odd jobs: police officer, firefighter, even a paramedic. But none of it stuck. He knew where he belonged, under a hood, building something loud enough to make the world take notice. In 2002, he made that dream real. He sold everything he had and opened Gas Monkey Garage, a small, gritty shop with big ambitions. But he didn't just want to build cars, he wanted to build a brand. With his business partner Aaron Kaufman, a brilliant mechanic and fabricator, they started flipping classic rides with speed, skill, and pure attitude. And that's when Hollywood came calling. What started as a small operation soon became one of the biggest automotive TV empires in history. But fame doesn't come without a cost. So what happens when the dream that made you turns into the thing that breaks you? The fast rise of Fast and Loud. When Fast and Loud premiered on Discovery Channel in 2012, it exploded overnight. Fans loved the chemistry. Rawlings was the flashy wheeler-dealer with the big talk, and Aaron Kaufman was the quiet genius behind the builds. Together, they created cars that looked like rolling works of art. The show wasn't just about cars, it was about personalities, risk, and relationships. Viewers watched as Richard took massive financial gambles, often buying rusty old shells and betting everything on turning them into gold. And somehow, it always worked. By the mid-2000s, Fast and Loud was one of Discovery's biggest hits. Gas Monkey Garage turned into a brand worth millions. Clothing lines, energy drinks, even live events. Richard became a millionaire many times over. But fame changes everything. The pressure to outdo each build, the non-stop filming schedules, and the grind of running an empire began to take their toll. Behind the scenes, the tension between Richard and Aaron started to grow. Aaron, known for his perfectionism and long hours, often clashed with Richard's fast-paced, business-first approach. Their friendship, once the heart of the show, started to fracture. And then, in 2017, the unthinkable happened. Aaron Kaufman left Fast and Loud. Fans were stunned. Without Aaron, the show felt different, and the cracks in Gas Monkey's shiny empire were starting to show. Could Rawlings keep his dream alive without the man who helped build it? When the cameras stopped rolling. After Aaron's departure, Fast and Loud continued. But something had changed. Richard tried to keep the momentum going, bringing in new talent, fresh builds, and bigger challenges. But the magic wasn't the same. Ratings began to drop. Then came the pandemic, and everything stopped. Production froze, the garage fell silent, and for the first time in years, Richard had to face a world without the constant noise of fame. When Discovery officially ended the show in 2020, fans feared the worst. Rumors swirled. Was Gas Monkey Garage finished? Was Richard retiring? But that's not who Richard Rawlings is. He may have lost his TV show, but he didn't lose his fire. In true Gas Monkey style, he pivoted fast, turning to digital platforms, podcasts, and social media to rebuild his brand from the ground up. He launched Gas Monkey Garage YouTube, started a podcast called The Monkey Trap, and began new business ventures, from luxury cars to restaurants and tequila. But while the cameras stopped rolling, life off-screen brought new challenges. His marriage to Katerina Deason, his third wife, was tested under the glare of fame. Managing dozens of businesses while trying to live a normal life became almost impossible. And then came the most painful truth: the realization that even with money and success, he couldn't escape loneliness. Was Richard Rawlings finally slowing down, or just gearing up for something even bigger? The man behind the monkey. The Richard fans see on screen, the loud, confident dealmaker, is only one side of him. Behind the sunglasses and swagger is a man who's faced more setbacks than most people know. Before Fast and Loud, he went broke, twice. He's spoken about sleeping in his shop just to keep the lights on. He risked everything, every dollar, every car, to chase his dream. And that fearless drive came with scars. Years of stress, long nights, and physical exhaustion left their mark. Running Gas Monkey Garage meant being on 24/7. And for years, he didn't know when to stop. But beneath all that chaos was purpose. Richard's story was never just about cars, it was about freedom. The American dream, lived one burnout at a time. He built something that inspired millions of gearheads around the world. Even now, long after the show ended, fans still visit Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas, hoping to see the man who turned wrenches into legend. But behind that legacy lies one haunting truth. Success never came easy for Richard Rawlings, and it never came without a cost. What do you do when the fame fades, but the fire inside you refuses to die? The cost of the American dream. Richard Rawlings built his empire on the idea that anyone with enough grit could make it big. But the cost of that dream is something he rarely talks about. The fame, the pressure, the long days, it all took a toll on his personal life. He's been married 3 times, each relationship strained by the demands of fame and business. He's admitted that success came at the expense of balance, of peace, of family. And there were times, especially after Fast and Loud ended, when he faced a darker reality. One that fame couldn't fix. The weight of burnout, the uncertainty of relevance, the fear of fading into the background. For years, Richard had lived life at full throttle, but now he was being forced to slow down, to face the man behind the Gas Monkey brand. In interviews, he's admitted that reflection doesn't come easy for him. He's a man of motion, constantly building, selling, moving. But for the first time, he had to ask himself, what comes next? And in that pause, he discovered something unexpected. Freedom. No producers, no deadlines, no network contracts. Just Richard Rawlings, the man, the mechanic, the dreamer. He started mentoring young car builders, encouraging the next generation to chase their passions. He began supporting charities and using his platform for good. And slowly, the man who once defined success by dollar signs began to redefine it entirely. Maybe success wasn't about fame or money. Maybe it was about legacy. about the lives you touch and the dreams you inspire. But even as he found new meaning, a question lingered in fans' minds everywhere. Would Fast and Loud ever return? Rumors, reunions, and the road ahead. In recent years, rumors have swirled that Fast and Loud might make a comeback, that Richard could return to television with a new crew and a fresh take on the car world. And while he's hinted at the possibility, he's made one thing clear. If it ever happens, it'll be on his terms. Richard doesn't chase fame anymore. He builds it. He's focused on creating a world where Gas Monkey Garage stands on its own. Not just as a brand, but as a movement. Even now, fans still line up at his Dallas shop, hoping for a handshake or a photo. To them, Richard isn't just a reality TV star. He's proof that grit, vision, and relentless work can turn a backyard dream into a global name. And though he's faced lawsuits, heartbreaks, and business challenges, he's never stopped roaring forward. Because that's who he is. Richard Rawlings has always been the man who bets everything on himself, and somehow always finds a way to win. Still, behind the confidence and fast cars, there's a quieter truth. He's a man who's seen the best and worst of fame. A man who's learned that success can be both a blessing and a burden. But most importantly, he's a man who never gave up. And maybe that's what Fast and Loud was really about all along. Not just the cars, not just the deals, but the drive, the unstoppable will to keep moving no matter what roadblocks life throws your way. So, what's next for Richard Rawlings? A comeback? A reinvention? Or the final lap of a journey that's already made history? One thing's for sure, the Gas Monkey's engine is still running. And if we've learned anything about Richard Rawlings, it's that he's never out of gas. When the dust settles and the engines go quiet, there's something hauntingly beautiful about a man like Richard Rawlings. He didn't come from wealth. He didn't have a safety net. What he had was grit, a refusal to quit, even when everything around him was falling apart. From a kid fixing cars in his dad's driveway to the face of one of the biggest automotive shows in TV history, Richard Rawlings lived the kind of dream that millions only talk about. He built an empire with his bare hands, his instincts, and his stubborn heart. But the truth is, every dream comes with a price. He's lost friends, relationships, and peace of mind along the way. He's faced lawsuits, heartbreak, and criticism. He's been praised as a genius and accused of selling out. And yet, through it all, he never once stopped moving forward. That's the thing about Richard. He doesn't dwell on the past. He rebuilds. He reinvents. He turns wreckage into art and failure into fuel. And maybe that's what makes his story so timeless. Because life, just like the cars he builds, isn't about staying pristine. It's about the dents, the cracks, the imperfections that tell the story of survival. Today, Richard Rawlings isn't just the gas monkey anymore. He's a man who proved that even when the cameras stop rolling, your legacy doesn't have to. He showed the world that fame fades, but passion, real, burning passion, never does. So whether Fast and Loud returns or not, the truth is, it doesn't matter. Because the spirit of it, that wild, untamed energy, still lives on in every car, every build, and every dreamer who dares to take a chance. Richard Rawlings may have slowed down, but he's not done driving, because for a man like him, there's no finish line, only the next road. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold lives of icons who refuse to give up. And remember, no matter how rough the road gets, keep your engine running and your dreams alive. Because, as Richard Rawlings proved, you can always rebuild.